Welcome back. This is Liana, Holistic Intimacy Coach. Here we talk about all things intimacy, and I hold space for your intimacy growth. Today I want to do a video on something very mundane, and I want to look at the wisdom and the knowledge that we can extract from it and bring it back home, like to ourselves. So the topic is the baby Spencer, nowadays grown man, suing Nirvana band members, the ones that are still alive, plus Courtney Love, who is the executor of Kurt Cobain's estate, and I think the photographer of one of their albums for the cover, and TMZ, which was the record label that they had back then. So in 1991, Nirvana, before hitting it big, they were preparing to launch the album Nevermind. And for the cover, they hired a photographer. Can't remember his name right now. My apologies. This photographer reached out to some of his friends that actually had a newborn. These friends bring their infant, 4 months old infant, Spencer, who is stripped to the Monty, full Monty, dipped into a pool, super happy baby, by the way, like super radiant. And he's like happy, joyful, reaching out for $100 bill. I actually, before I filmed this video, I reached out to YouTube to see if I can use the photo, and I checked their policies. This does fall, in my understanding, in a work of art, the cover, that photo. So I'm going to show it on screen, and I'm not going to, the discussion that I'm going to have it, I'm not exploiting this. This is not a monetized video, so hopefully the video won't be taken down because I show this image, which is actually the topic of our vlog. So here's baby Spencer, and now in his 30s, he decided to sue the band. The reasons he's suing is basically child pornography, in his opinion, being permanently associated with this album and therefore affected for life. Now, the story is kind of controversial because baby Spencer, as he was growing older, portrayed himself with this cover. He redid the photo as he was growing older. Sure, he was not using, like, he was not in the full Monty, if you've seen the movie. But he was recreating the album cover. He took photos with it. He went on camera, gave interviews about it. So apparently he was okay with it. Except that now in his 30s, he decides that he wants to sue, and sue for a lot of money, actually. My topic that I want to discuss today is body sovereignty and body dignity. Basically, infant Spencer back then didn't have a choice. He didn't really know what, I mean, he was just a baby. Babies don't think, don't know, they can't protect themselves. They are 100% vulnerable and at the whims of their caretakers or parents. So their parents decided something for baby Spencer, and they actually decided not knowing, because in fact they found out several months after taking that photo what actually the photo was going to be used for, which was a Nirvana album cover, and not just any album cover. This album went platinum. It sold over 30 million copies worldwide. This was back in the 90s. Imagine had it come out now, what it would have done. Broken all records, right? Probably. The message though, like the message that the band intended to put out there, or if I recall correctly, I think it was Kurt Cobain who actually chose that image because it was super powerful. Basically what he showed, or they showed, was an infant underwater, representing freshly, like fresh birth, and being thrust into this world where you're doing what? You're chasing the money. And in sacrifice of your purity, your innocence, your soul, basically, all the gifts, all that joyfulness, aliveness that babies have, okay, we're being shoved into a reality where we're kind of losing all of that because of the money. That was the message that the album was sending. Could they have edited out the baby boner? Maybe, who knows? I don't know what kind of, I think I think they had the editing skills to do that, but they chose not to. They were not thinking in that sense. They were thinking childhood, innocence, purity, and money, what we're being shoved to. So baby Spencer nowadays actually is saying that he didn't have a choice and that he was being exposed to something that everybody else got to see, but he couldn't choose for it back then. And from now bringing it to us, okay, what we actually are invited to think about here is the babies that, or the people that we're caring for, who can't decide for themselves. What kind of situations are we exposing them to, their bodies? What are we pushing them to do, thinking that it's just something little, like naive, it doesn't really matter? Because his parents and the photographer, nobody thought it was that such a, that big of a deal. But 30 years down the line, guess what? It can actually be a huge deal. Yeah, nowadays with all the censorship, like imagine we're censoring nipples, just for women, not for men, by the way. Talk about irony. We're putting down content even for using some words, let alone showing pictures or images or stuff like that. So it's already like what we know about ourselves as human beings is already being so much edited and censored that actually this guy stands a chance to win now. Back then in 1991, nobody was thinking that way. There was a SESTA Act in place, but that was not, it was not considered to fall under the jurisdiction of that act. However, nowadays, I think he stands a chance to win. But the invitation for us, especially adults, is that not only the photos that we're taking of our children, and it's not like now it's like in the 90s where anybody can take a photo, but not everybody can broadcast it to the world. That was the reality of the 90s. Baby Spencer's photo wasn't something that it couldn't happen to all kids. Nowadays it can, because we have cell phones, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, Instagram, whatever other apps out there, TikTok and all of that. And I don't want to mention porn sites and all of that. So the images that we take are actually super spreadable these days. And once they're uploaded, they can't really be taken down. That's also the sad part. So the invitation for us is to, first of all, if we're parents, or we're gonna be parents, what we think is probably not such a big deal, some years down the line, it might be so. And we might actually have to literally pay for that. I don't know what Nirvana band members are thinking, the photographer. I don't even know what this guy's parents are thinking. I would love somebody to cover all these angles and ask them, okay, what do you think about this? Now, looking back, looking at the reality of today, what do you think about how this photo was done? By the way, the parents didn't know what the photo was for. They never signed a contract. Huge mistake there from the band and management and all of that. And 1 year later, when the album went platinum, nobody went back and said, okay, why don't we sign a deal? Why don't we give you some compensation for that, proper compensation in accordance to what we had and all of that. So none of that was done. Boy, 30 years down the line, this is probably going to cost them a lot. But for us, because I want to bring it to us and for our personal growth, something that we do today to somebody else that we think it's not consequential, actually in several years it can come back not only to bite us, but it can change their life entirely. However they choose to interpret that and relate to that, it can change their life. So body sovereignty, okay? People should decide for their body, how it's exposed out there. And the fact that a baby is being exposed in ways that he didn't choose to, well, maybe we want to consider that. I'm just saying, with all the stuff that is going on right now. And then there's body dignity. Could that photo have made an impact without his penis showing? Probably yes. It was still a baby chasing a dollar bill. Okay, the message that it was being portrayed, it could have come across without the genitalia. So, but that was their choice, back then. We can't really go back and change their mind. However, the consequences also probably can't be changed. And we're going to see. I'm going to follow that process. And or lawsuit. I'm curious, hopefully somebody's going to interview all the band members, the agencies, Spencer's parents, the photographer. Like, I would love to hear everybody's perspective, but brought to, you know, the 21st century, 2021 even. So that's it. Tomorrow I'm going to come back with another topic, and that one is on OnlyFans. Okay, this is still related to sexuality and still a focus for us to consider, you know, about our intimacy, sexuality, what we consume, how we grow, where our sovereignty is, and all of that. And also I want to announce you that these days I'm recruiting for the Sex Dojo for Women. Those are programs that are meant for personal growth, okay? Coaching programs, somatic coaching programs, practices for women. So, and by the way, no body exposure, okay? Just to, you know, point out that I'm in line with everything that I preach here. So it's just to educate oneself, to grow, to change perspectives, to come to embodied practices that are actually practices, and that's it. And they are done solo for your growth. So if this is something that calls to you, then check out the link under the video. I'll see you tomorrow with another topic. And yeah, check out all the rest of the videos on this channel. There are a lot of topics here that actually might be of use to you, of inspiration. They might answer some of your queries, searches, turmoils, and so on. That's it. I wish you a sovereign, intimate life.